Today's episode is sponsored by Haunters Against Hate. Haunters Against Hate is an LGBTQIA+ organization of character actors from haunted attractions that is dedicated to promoting inclusion and acceptance. Please visit hauntersagainsthate.com for more information, to make a donation, or to purchase Haunters Against Hate merchandise. Proceeds from all sales go to benefit different LGBTQIA organizations. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Drunken Housewife Reviews. I'm Sarah, the Drunken Housewife.
And I'm her husband/host, Ian, and I try to keep her on the rails best I can.
And it's a full-time job. We are here with the one, the only, the most incredible Brandon Crane. Yay!
Thank you.
Applause.
One and only is good. No,
yes.
I'll take that. Thank
the
you.
One and only. Best known for playing Ben Hanscom. You'll float too. In the OG It miniseries, which was just absolutely incredible. And now there is a new documentary called, what is it? Pennywise, the Story of It. It's on Screenbox. And so, all the behind the scenes stuff that when we watched it, we were fascinated.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely fascinated by some like
stuff. Yeah.
Of all the people to have a severe fear of clowns, Tim Curry,
that was too funny. It's funny now.
It's funny now, but yeah, it's like, that's an actor right there. It's like, I have an intense fear of clowns, but I'm going to play one for this minute.
Absolutely. That's like being afraid of horses and doing a steeplechase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. So many people, and I know I'm not the only one, many people, and it was even said in the documentary that the night with that concentrated on the kids was the best night of the miniseries. And I agree with that 100. You guys were amazing. I mean, did you guys just all kind of just come together and click, or,
Yeah. In the doc, Tommy Lee Wallace, the director, has some really sweet words about it. And he had he had a name for it, and it was lightning in a bottle.
Yes.
And I think looking back, I totally agree. I mean, the chemistry that the adult actors had was fantastic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And what we were able to do as a group of fast friends, still pretty palpable. I mean, looking back, and I can't help but look at them and smile, and when I get to see them in real life, they're my favorite. Outside of my family, of course, they're my favorite human beings.
Because other than the people you're related to, they're
no, I mean, because they're all so different, and I think that was one of the striking things about the striking difference between our losers and the new losers, right? I'm not besmirching that at all, because what they had was also magical. I mean, that it was exactly my time when we were shooting our version of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same timeline that they were playing, and so everything that they said, all the mom jokes, everything, it was all exactly what we were doing when we were kids. So I absolutely loved it. It captured my childhood to the letter. But archetypically, each of the kids in ours is very, very different, and it's still that same way as adults. We're all different people, but and because of that, I mean, we mesh together really, really, really well. They're my favorite.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's definitely a dream team of cast members. It really was. It's kind of a who's who of who was at that time. Definitely.
Yeah. Because I know when I heard it's coming on TV, and I was like, I was already sold. Tim Curry is Pennywise, great, I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
End of discussion. But then John Ritter, Richard, I mean, you start naming off all of the names that were going to be in it, and it just, it was like this once in a lifetime thing. And I know that they had the adult versions spend time with you kid versions so that you could work out stuff. So my question is, I mean, John Ritter has always been one of my favorite actors. And it had to be amazing to even spend 5 minutes with him.
It really was. And for me personally, he was one of the first comic actors that I'd seen branch out and to do things that were, quite serious or quite
yes.
adult too, like Skin Deep. Although it is a comedy, it's a tragedy.
Yes.
It showed me that these clowns, right, are almost uniquely versatile enough to be able to play everything because of the prima facie, because of what's behind the clown, right? Sometimes there's dark. Sometimes there's please stop. Sometimes sometimes there's a lot of darkness. You look at like Jim Carrey doing Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yes.
Adam Sandler doing Punch Drunk Love. Like to be able to see that these people are capable of like amazing depth was awesome. But having the opportunity to meet John Ritter, it was also intimidating for me too.
I can just imagine.
Only imagine.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of a funny story. I went up to Vancouver a couple weeks before school got out, and I was like, I'm going to Vancouver, see if freaks,
Yeah.
Peace out for the summer.
Peace out. I know what I'm doing for my summer. What are you doing?
Yeah.
No, but I ended up flying up there for a couple of days. I think I was only there for a couple of days, and then they flew me back.
Oh.
Yeah. But in those 2 days, it was pretty action packed. I mean, the one day, the first day was doing all the paperwork and contracts and all that stuff. The second day, I went out to the set where Tommy was, and it was actually in front of Bev's house. And they were shooting adult Bev out in front of her house. She visits and with Mrs. Kirsch and all that.
Yes.
Awesome scene, by the way. And I got my haircut in the makeup trailer. So Tommy wanted my hair to be just like his when he was a kid. So he was there kind of supervising my haircut. I was like, I've never had this much attention paid to me before in my
haircut,
life.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's truly an expensive haircut, right?
Yeah.
So then, then we come up to, I walk down, I do the fittings and all that stuff. And I'm like there. And that's when I met John Ritter, and he put us together on the spot that day so we could come up with that business that you talked about. Because honestly, I still think that we look the least alike. So we really needed to find some business together. And he really broke the ice. He was like, so what kind of actor are you, Brandon? I don't really know. Well, I mean, you've been doing this a long time. What kind of actor are you? I said, well, how do you mean? I don't. I mean, I do a lot of pratfalls and comedy, and I'm like the token fat kid, right? Yeah. I'm that kind of actor. And he's like, no. I mean, what kind of actor are you? When you look at the script, and there's a scene, are you one of those actors who memorizes everybody's lines and does the homework to see like who's doing what and what your objectives are? And I said, well, I mean, or are you okay, my line, bullshit, my line, bullshit. And I was like, no, definitely not the other one. I took it seriously as a kid, but anyway, just to have him break the ice that way, I knew that I was talking to someone who actually cared about my process and like what, if anything, I was going to be bringing to this, So, yeah. It was so great. I mean, he gave me some cool tips. We settled on some business, and in return, I taught him how to play Tetris on my Game Boy. Fair trade, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I did like that story too.
Yeah, Tetris.
What you doing? Tetris.
Yeah, Tetris is a valuable skill when it comes to packing.
Wasting time.
Well, no, I'm giving you some skills. When you're packing things into boxes, you know, figuring out the shapes, the grocery cart, loading up all the stuff in the grocery cart. I mean,
but except they don't disappear when you get it right.
Well, there is that, but it's still a valuable skill. I mean, I think all kids should play Tetris so they know how to pack stuff and how to, you know, it helps you become aware of how things fit together.
Well,
so,
when
I agree
me
with
being
that.
a flight attendant, I actually have to do that with people's bags to maximize the space for all the bags. So we're having to tag the least amount, therefore pissing off the least amount of passengers.
yeah,
Right.
but
So there,
again,
yeah.
they don't disappear when you get them all lined up.
No, but I would like them to disappear. So there you go.
Of
The
course you would.
passengers, not the bags.
The
I don't care.
My favorite is when you get on one of the regional jets, you know, like the Embraer or the
That's what he
Canadair.
flies.
That's why I
Yeah.
fly.
Yeah. There's so many times I've walked up to the gate and I have a bag that is the perfect carry-on size, but even still, sometimes it ends up getting gate checked, and that's fine. As long as I have it when I leave the platform and I don't have to wait for baggage return, I have no complaints.
Yeah, there you go. You are also the recipient of a very major award, at least in my viewpoint, the Honors Against Hate 2022 Legacy Award.
Yes,
that I was there to see you receive.
I didn't see that coming, you know, and I thought it was really it meant a lot. It really means a lot to me, just because I don't feel you should be awarded for being a decent human being, but it's come to that, you know. It's come to that, and I've taken the advocacy a little farther than normal. You know, did a lot of campaigning with some LGBTQ plus groups, organizing phone calls and phone banking, and you know, door knocking, and you know, some rallying, and I'd like to think it worked, you know, and you know, there have been times that I've used whatever I have to at least propagate like decent messaging, you know.
Yeah.
You know, to be an advocate, it means more than words, you know, and I'm totally honored, but I don't think I've even earned it yet. You know, I'm just kind of getting started.
Well, I mean, I think today there are a lot of people that are almost afraid to step into an ally role because of the backlash you get. And you know, I think as an ally, that's kind of your job. It's like, you know what, the LGBTQ community has been fighting for so long, and they have been fighting for, you know, so hard. It's our time to take, you know, allies need to take some of that backlash, some of that hard work for them, you know, and that's what an ally needs. It's, you know, they're tired. Okay, let's pick it up for you. And when you're, you know, when you're not tired anymore, you can join back in. But you know, it's hard.
I think
it's scary.
I like to equate it to racism. I mean, it is, you know, in a way. But
it's its own form of discrimination. I mean, that's all it is.
It is, and it's based on, you know, it's meaningless. It's so meaningless. But I feel like it's a lot like not being racist. You know, forever people felt that not being racist was enough. Oh, you know, at least I'm not racist. You know, I'm like that's going to do anything. It's not enough anymore to not be racist. It's you have to be anti-racist, and in order to be anti-racist, you have to take a position that you're willing to defend and run with it.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
And I think the same thing, you know, goes with the LGBTQ plus community as well. It's not enough anymore to just say, no, I totally support their right to marry. I totally, you know, I think they should, you know, they should have the same rights and privileges as anyone else on the planet
Yeah.
that we're sharing air with. But it's not enough. Like you have got to, if you want to see equality, you've got to put it out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
definitely. Yes.
Yeah, it's no longer enough to be like, well, obviously I'm a supporter because I have a gay friend, or obviously I'm not racist, I have a black friend. That's just not no.
Right. That one's my favorite too.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Not
work
enough.
with black people, I can't be a racist, or I work with gay people, I can't be. Well, bully
It's
for
not enough.
you,
But are
what
you
else are you doing?
anti-racist?
Yeah.
You know,
What
are
else
you
are you
not-
doing?
Exactly. Yeah.
Are you anti-bigot? You know,
Yeah.
it's just not enough. And I feel like the more people like me who are not so famous, right, who
Mhm.
don't have to worry about losing a deal because you've taken a stand on a social issue, then so be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do it. I mean, I could care less what anyone else, thinks about my politics. I
Well, it seems like the stakes are just, I mean, I wouldn't say lower by a lot, but at the same time, not as visible as
Right.
a high. Yeah. So the, am I saying that right?
I think
No, I know
I
what you
think
mean.
so.
I
Yeah.
know what you
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems like you can kind of go in there and get a little more done than somebody at a higher tier, who's more visible, where they would get
Right.
a lot more shit for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but at the end of the day, I mean, you've got people like Ricky Gervais. They don't care. They could care less what you think, and that's how it needs to be, because life's too short for this bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I think we've both kind of reached that age where it's like, you know what? I don't care what you think about me. These are my thoughts. These are my beliefs. If you
Right.
don't like it, there's the door. I did fine before I met you. I'll be
Yeah.
fine without you,
Oh yeah.
And
A lot of times I find that the people who are the most vocal, it's just performative. They probably don't even have a fully formed concept of what it is they're railing against. They don't know.
Yes.
yeah.
Confused. World is changing. These are issues that were never really at the forefront the way they are now. There were always issues.
Yeah.
Racism has always been an
yeah.
issue.
Exactly.
LGBTQ plus rights have always been an issue, but they're in the limelight now. And I think there are a lot of people who are trying to cling to some old reality, and they'll fight tooth and nail for it,
Yeah.
because God forbid you're made uncomfortable just for a moment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And
It's just,
I'll
that's
take
just
this.
life. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take this even farther. There's people going back to race. Again, it's the same thing. You just change the topic and it's the same. There was someone that I talked to. And she's absolutely beautiful, beautiful heart. And she said, she's African American, and she said, I'm so tired of seeing people say that they don't see color. Right, because that
Yeah.
is sort of like you saying, I'm not racist. I don't see color. I don't judge you by that. And I think the reality is now, in line with being anti-racist or anti-bigot, anti-bully, I think you should see that color.
Yeah.
Because it's beautiful.
Exactly. Because I know I was raised.
Notice it.
Yeah. Because I was always raised, don't judge somebody by the color of their skin, but the content of their character.
Right.
And that's a good message to teach a kid.
Right.
But you're right. Then it's like, no, I need to see the color of their skin and realize they're facing shit out there every day.
Yeah.
And what can I do just to make right now better for them? I don't know if I'm going to be seeing them tomorrow, but what can I do in our interaction right here to make the world better for them?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It takes zero energy to be a decent human being, as you said.
Yeah. It's also free.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't know. It's just so weird for me sometimes to think, why is everybody concerned with the LGBTQ? What does it matter what they're doing in their bedroom?
Exactly.
Or
in their art, in this, that, and the other, whatever it is. It's like what doesn't even from you.
That's the main thing. They think it's contagious, like you're going to catch it.
Yeah.
Or that, exposure to the youth is going to make them gay. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And
Oh,
these
yeah.
people who
Yeah.
say these things and propagate these things, they say it out of an almost willful ignorance. I mean,
Yeah.
case in point, when I was in college, my friend Joe, he met his husband. I was in a show with Joe, and then I was in a show with Kevin. And just before you could get married in California,
Yeah.
Mhm.
they went through the motions anyway. And we had like a civil union, and it was the sweetest thing ever. But they've gone on to raise two like all-star athlete, slash mathletes slash
Mhm.
science gods. These kids are almost out of high school, and they, these two boys that they adopted. And I think they are probably some of the most successful parents I've ever seen. And those kids didn't get turned gay, right? I mean, it's
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But what they are strong human beings who, will certainly see the forest for the trees, and
Yeah.
and see that it's well past time
Yeah.
to be like this.
Because I know I've heard from multiple people the argument about, well, if you let a kid read books with gay characters or whatever, then that's going to turn him gay. And it's like, no, because gay kids have been reading books with straight characters for
For the beginning of
centuries. I mean,
books,
since
so,
books
yeah.
were invented,
Yeah.
And they're
and
still gay.
they're still gay.
So
So
makes
that
no
that
sense.
kind of negates your argument right there.
Yeah, that's
But-
the exact same thing with why is there Black History Month? When's White History Month? And the reality is, well, right now every month is White History
Yeah,
Month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Pride Month. Why do we have Pride Month? Well, because they earned it. I mean,
Well,
You're
they
damn right.
earned it,
They
and
earned-
also recognition as far as like, hey, they're human too.
yeah,
Let's celebrate with their arts and culture.
exactly.
Yeah, like
What's wrong with that?
maybe
What's wrong with that?
take advantage of all of the programming that happens during February, or for Latino History Month. Maybe take advantage of the programming that's out there and learn something.
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's the whole point.
Exactly.
The whole point is to it's not to force you to see, but to educate.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. It's all
Oh,
about it's all about education.
Yes, and definitely
Same
seeing
thing with
the
Pride
different
Month.
perspectives. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seeing their world, see where they're coming from, see who they are as people, because
Yeah.
it's different than you, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And yeah, I mean, all these groups fighting for their rights, it seems like, the people that are voting against it seem to think that it's going to take away something from their rights. And it's like, it's not pie. It's not,
So, hi, you're right. No, you're absolutely right.
it's not like if, okay, gay marriage is legalized. Well, you know what? It didn't affect our marriage at all,
Yeah.
at all. And everybody's like, well, it's going to take away from the sanctity of marriage. And I'm like, well, I think we're pretty sanctified over here. We're good.
The
Yeah.
sanctity of marriage is and it's funny, the people, I'm going to say it, the people who are out there and they are the loudest, especially elected officials that talk about the sanctity of marriage, are on what, their second, third wife?
And how
Yeah,
many
Been outed
mistresses?
publicly for having a mistress.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on. The hypocrisy is so rampant, but it has everything. It's an indictment on the subject matter. It's like that because it's a stupid human construct.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Um,
everything's a human construct.
you
Rather than biological, whatever it is
Right.
that you got
Yeah.
going on, everything is just a construct. We
Yeah.
all made all this up because somebody thought, hey, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
And
Right.
most of the time they're wrong. So there you go.
Yeah. And yeah, and I mean, people, well, it's against my beliefs. Well, okay, fine. Then, don't get gay married. Fine.
Yeah, right.
And I mean,
Against your beliefs.
yeah, everybody using their religion to try to control everybody else. It's like, no,
It's got to stop.
it's got,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
because
yeah.
they're like, well, we're a Christian nation. No, we're not. No,
We're
we're
not.
not.
No,
No, I'm a history teacher daughter. You know, my dad taught history and government for 36 years in high school.
Yeah.
And if it, you know, the only thing he ever beat me with was knowledge. And,
Good man.
you know, and it's like every time he heard that, it just, he would grind his teeth and he's like, no, we're not. Read the Constitution, separation of church and state. No religion should make
Right.
should be used as a basis of law. And
right now,
right
that
now,
is totally in peril. That someone the other day asked me smugly, well, if we're not a Christian nation, why does it say "in God we trust" on our paper money? And my response was, why don't you ask Billy Graham?
yeah.
Oh no, wait, you can't, because he's dead. The only reason
Exactly.
it's on the money is because of Billy Graham. You know, this whole
Yes.
Well, and the
post-McCarthyism
one,
crap. I mean, we had it on our coins after the Civil War, but it wasn't an endorsement. It wasn't, and in God we trust. That's so nebulous and collective that it's almost meaningless anyway.
Oh, yeah.
You think the Christian God is the only God, and they'll tell you it is, but what are the odds that you got it right?
yeah.
All the gods that have ever been, what are the odds that you got it right?
Well, and then they bring
it's
up
all
the
environment, and it's all how you're brought up.
yeah, the Pledge of
It really is.
Allegiance. We didn't say one nation under God until 1954.
Right, and that's also because of Billy
Danny
Graham.
Thomas.
Oh,
Yeah,
Danny
Danny
Thomas.
Thomas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Danny Thomas did that one.
Danny Thomas did that one to us. And yeah, it's just, but then when they talk about, oh well, you know, look at that, their, you know, religion is controlling these women, and well, what are you trying to do to us right now? You know, the like the Muslim countries having to wear the, you know, hijab,
or
yeah,
burqa.
yeah,
one.
or the burqa, you know, and all that. And I'm like, well, we're like 5 steps away from that right now.
No, we really
Yeah.
are. I had a tweet the other day. You know, someone was talking about how, you know, welcome to the new right and all that, and I just ghastly to think about. But you know, there is a correlation. You know, the revolution in Iran 40 years ago.
Yeah. Remember that.
We're following in those footsteps. That's not hyperbole. I mean, we are literally becoming what we, you know, allege to hate. And it's because we're allowing this to happen. We're putting the brakes on education. We're doing everything that is in that recipe, almost to the letter. And eventually we're going to end up there unless somehow we can reverse course. And I think if there's anything that I could ever just kind of impress upon anyone, is that we have a 1 in 400 trillion chance of being alive. That's that's what they're saying. They're saying now it's about 1 in 400 trillion. You know, the odds of us being born in the first place. So we're all rare.
Mm-hmm.
We're all valuable. Let's just get on, right?
Yeah.
Just get on.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop being performative. Stop, you know, act for now. Don't act for your ticket to some other place later. Be good now.
Yeah. It's
I would much rather do something for the experience of doing something good for someone in the moment than for some kind of reward for it. That's just being a decent human being, is just helping each other out just to do it.
That you may or may not get.
Yeah, exactly. Because I know, like, we have a friend, we do Special Olympics with our daughter, and one of the moms there, she was not satisfied with the school system that her children were in, because she had 2 kids that were mentally handicapped.
Okay.
And she didn't like it. So she's like, they may be the first ones there, but they're not going to be the last. I need to change. And she, you know, changed it. She fought to get what they needed, and, you know, all that. And, you know, I'm like, that's what you need to be. You know, you may not be, you know, you may be the first one, but there's going to be others. And you need to plan for the future. You need to help out the future.
It's like this generational thing right now when it comes to you know, any advances that we can make, any anything that we can do to ease the burden of the people who come after us.
Mhm.
There are certain people in this country who that whole idea is completely lost on them. Forgiveness of student debt, for example,
Don't even get me started on that one.
or subsidies for things, or healthcare, or
Yeah.
things that we could really make some progress on that would
Mhm.
benefit everyone, including them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly.
They come at you with, well, I didn't have to have a GoFundMe so I could go to school, or I never got a scholarship, or I paid my tuition. Well, now the tuition is 300%, higher than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Why should they suffer? Why should they suffer? If I've
Exactly.
come first and I'm still here, if there's anything I can do to alleviate that burden for the people,
Yeah.
behind me, let's do it.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I know we deal with the medical on two different ends of the spectrum, because he's an insulin dependent diabetic, and then
Okay.
our daughter is physically handicapped. So insulin is insane. Trying to get equipment and services for her is a battle, like an everyday battle.
Yes.
And a friend of mine lives in Canada, and I'm constantly messaging her. I'm like, so here's what we're going through right now. And she's like, yeah, I would go to the doctor. He would say, yes, you need this. And then I would get it. And that would be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we went to high school together. So she's seeing both sides of the spectrum.
Sure.
And she's like, there is not a day that goes by that I'm not happy that I live in a country where I need this. The doctor says, yes, you do need this. And I get it.
Well, these people who report themselves to be business people, you're right, because this country needs to be run like a business. If they were half the business people they purport themselves to be,
True.
they understand that by spending the money now, right, and making things available for everyone who needs it, we're talking about preventative care.
Yes, exactly.
We're talking about money that is not going to have to be spent once you're retired and on Medicare, and only then are you able to see a physician, right?
Yeah.
You're doing a preemptive strike. I mean, and then on the flip side, you look at the people who have to go, they go with Bernie Sanders. They get on a bus from Vermont and they go up to, Montreal or wherever. And, they buy insulin by the truckload and bring it back down because it's the only way you can do it. And in fact, it's cheaper, especially the stuff that's even manufactured here. It's cheaper to buy there than it is here.
Exactly.
That's just messed up.
I think it's so messed up. It's all so messed up. And we've devolved, to such an extraordinary degree that there's no simple fix, right? I mean, any changes we make are going to have to be generational, and that's so sad. It's so unfortunate. But I mean, that if again, looking ahead, if we suffer a little bit so the people behind us don't have to suffer as much, then it's all worth it. I mean, we are a species, and we're so concerned about that slice of pie you mentioned that we're willing to forsake people that come behind us.
Exactly.
Once we're finished,
because I know, like, one of the arguments I constantly hear against healthcare for all is, well, then they're going to tax me for somebody else's medical care. And I'm like, no, they're taxing you for yours.
You think insurance is
yours. And then I'm like, yeah, your insurance premiums. Here's what we pay for insurance every month.
Yeah.
But then here's what, my friend in Canada pays once a year. And let me tell you, her once a year equals 1 month of what we pay for, our premiums.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would much rather.
That's my favorite argument. I hate paying for other people doing stuff. Well, we're a society, number one.
Yeah.
You have an obligation. This isn't the frontier. I mean, unless you're in the frontier, there's no place for rugged individualism anymore. It's not necessary. We're in a society, and you have an obligation as a member of society. If you use something, you should pay for it, right? to some degree, however you possibly can. But when you've got people that use that whole argument about, I much rather have private insurance that I pay for, so I have the satisfaction of knowing I pay for it. Well, bullshit. Because you know what? You're never going to get out what you pay.
Exactly.
Period.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
My family costs $2,200 a month, family of 4,
Mhm.
to have decent insurance.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We don't use it. Someone else is benefiting from that. So why not have it regulated? So, all of the money goes to its intended purpose, right? Even if it's another bureaucracy, it doesn't matter. At least it's done. My favorite argument is that people say they don't trust the government to run healthcare.
Yeah, I don't get that at
But
all.
these are all people that are on Medicare saying this, we don't trust the government to administrate something that they're already administrating.
Exactly.
We're talking about the VA system. We're talking about, just put it all together.
Yeah.
Put it all together. We'll put it behind us, because it's not like doctors aren't going to pay or get paid. Doctors, there's a whole myth, about doctors leaving in droves because they're coming to the United States so they can get a decent paycheck. That's shit. They get paid great. And they don't, what they don't have to worry about is all the insurances, all the liabilities, the tort. They don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's actual freedom. Actual freedom.
Because I know a friend of mine, she's also physically disabled and she's on Medicaid like my daughter is. And she lived in Georgia for the longest time. And listening to all of her struggles trying to get stuff in Georgia just infuriated me, because I'm like, but in Indiana, here's what I do. And, we have a process and all of that, but it's not like what you're going through. And then she moved to Ohio and she's like, I'm not understanding. I said I needed a new wheelchair and the doctor's like, okay, you need a new wheelchair. And he wrote a thing and she's like, and now we've started the process for a new wheelchair. I'm not understanding any of this. And I'm like, welcome to the way it's supposed to work, but it is so different state to state to state.
Yeah. But even then
should be
the best of that is not even as good as the worst.
Oh,
exactly.
No.
I mean,
of anywhere else.
Preaching to the choir, but it's like, that's one of those things I'm like, it's a government thing. Yeah. So shouldn't it be everybody has to go through the same things? And it's, but no, in this state, it's like in this state, you have to go through utter hell and sacrifice goats or whatever to get what you need. And then, we have to fight for things for Maddie, but 9 times out of 10, the doctor steps in, like her urologist has stepped in for stuff for her that he writes Medicaid and he's like, no, this is the way it needs to be. And the Medicaid's like, okay,
well,
and that's what it should,
because if they don't, they go against the wishes of the attending physician. I'm sure that opens them up to, some liability too.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's just such a messy system. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And hopefully in a generation or two, again, we'll get it right. So people behind us don't have to suffer. But I swear to God, my freedom. Your freedom for what? To what? Lose your house when you go broke?
Yeah,
exactly.
Your medical bills? Do you think not reporting, medical collections or medical debt, on your credit report is an ample, compensation for your peril? No, it's not. It shouldn't be a thing at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It just shouldn't be a thing at all.
Exactly.
And it's just good business. It's good business. If someone has access to a clinic or someone has access to healthcare, even when they don't have a job, that's freedom.
Mm-hmm.
That's real freedom. And my other biggest pet peeve about our system too, is we're not fostering the entrepreneurship that we could, because so many people stay in jobs and are afraid to leave their jobs because of healthcare.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And
people anywhere else in the developed world,
mm-hmm.
if they've got an idea to make something happen, they can throw themselves into it. Full stop.
Yeah.
Full stop. and not worry about, oh God, what happens if my kids get sick, or I have a child with special needs? What's going to happen there?
Yeah.
No, this is, we're talking
Yeah.
about the decline of a civilization. This is it.
Yeah. Because I mean, I think you would have a much more productive workforce if, parents knew that they could afford childcare. I mean, I was a preschool teacher for 15 years, and I know how expensive back then it was.
Oh yeah.
For kids to be in childcare. I know the cost has only gone up since then. So it's like, affordable childcare, free kindergarten, making sure that their kids can eat, making sure, but then also if they can take those sick days that they need,
right.
If they can, take the time off to take their kid to the doctor, if they need to take their kid to the doctor, because I quit a job because they were like, no, you have to come in. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. My daughter has all the symptoms of shunt malfunction. 1, 2, 3, here, I'm not coming in. And they're like, well, then you're going to be fired. And it's like,
I guess I'm going to have to be fired.
And at that point, it's like her godfather could take care of her. So I went in, but I went into the director and I'm like, I will never make this choice again, just to let you know. And then the next day, Maddie ended up in the hospital. And so when I called him and said, she's in the hospital, consider this my 2 weeks notice, because I'm done. You made me choose between my child and work when we're in an environment where we keep telling parents, no, your kid can't come to work sick. Can't come into the school sick. You have to keep them home.
It's impossible. It's an impossible situation.
Yeah. And it's like,
right.
I think we would have a much more productive workforce if people knew they could take the time off to be sick. They could, without, because I know he has sick days, but God forbid he takes one. It's
he has
insane.
to mark against me if I take.
Yeah, he gets a ding against him if he takes a sick day, and it's way for so many people.
When my youngest was born, I was given 3 days to bond with my child.
Yeah, yeah, and so many other countries have, not only maternity leave but paternity leave, so that the dad can stay home and
bond with his child.
Yeah, exactly. And they have much better job protection in other countries for the parent to go back to work. I think France gives you a live-in nanny or access to a nanny for, I think, the first year of your kid's life.
Oh yeah,
that's amazing. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, and I'm like, I would have loved to have had that, just for the sheer fact of, I'd been a preschool teacher for 15 years when my daughter was born. But when there was something wrong with the baby, I called mom or dad and they came and got it. And then that was the end of me having to deal with a kid that was sick. And here I am with a kid with special needs on top of that. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. It's like,
all the rules.
No. There's a friend of mine. She lives like near Birmingham in the UK. She's a single mom. She's she's raising a kid. She's doing a great job. She's awesome. One day, she sent me a text message asking me about how to treat something like a spider bite or a bug bite or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, go to the A&E. Like, what if is it making her sick? Go to the A&E. And she's like, well, I know, you guys have to fend for yourselves more or less with these kinds of issues. So I just didn't want to make a fuss. I'm wondering if there's anything I can do without, wasting, the A&E allowance or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just to know that that's the consensus anywhere else in the world about us and our, healthcare is, maybe it's naive of me to say, that's the consensus, but for someone who's not, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to be very delicate. I love words. Well, at any rate, it may not be the consensus, but it's known. I mean, if unsolicited, she looks to me because I was the last American she talked to.
Yeah.
She's asking me, how to treat a freaking bug bite. What are we doing?
Yeah, I know. I took Maddie into her pediatrician one time, and he kind of joked. He goes, "Oh, well, let's see, you know, April, May, June, July. Should I just go ahead and make an appointment for you in August?" And I apologized to him for bringing her in so much.
Yeah.
But I was like, there are so many things with her that I don't know if this is serious or if this is not serious. And I'm so sorry. And he's like, "No, I was just kidding. I have the fancy letters behind my name. I don't want you sitting at home thinking you're bothering me, because that's how I get paid, is you coming in
And
to see
bothering
me.
Yeah.
And I don't want you sitting at home thinking, you know, well, it's probably nothing. I don't want to bother him." He's like, "No, I will always see you. I will always get you into my office. That's why I became a pediatrician." And I found out later he became a pediatrician. He's African American. And when he was growing up, there was one clinic that they could go to. And you had to get there first thing in the morning.
Right.
And there was a cutoff time. And if you came after the cutoff time, there's no way you were going to get seen that day. And he's sitting in the waiting room with his dad, and a woman comes in, and obviously her child is sick, but she got there after the cutoff time. And they're like, "I'm sorry, we can't." And she's crying. And she's like, and you know, he tells his dad, "This is so wrong. This is so wrong." And his dad's like, "Well, then become a doctor and change it."
Yeah.
Great origin story.
By damn, he did, you know.
That's amazing.
Because I know I called him, Maddie comes off the bus with full-blown ear infection that just, like, you know how ear infections in kids can just, they wake up in the morning, they're fine, and by the time they come off the bus, they're dying in pain. And I called him, I'm like, "I know it's, you know, you close at 4:30, and I know it's 4, and I'm going to try to get there by 4:30. And he's like, "I'll wait. I will wait for you."
Wow.
And yeah, when she outgrew him, I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do
Oh yeah.
without him, you know, there, because he's such an amazing. And I was actually crying when I had to sign, you know, for all of her stuff to go to our doctor now.
Her adult doctor.
Yeah.
So
And I'm
she's
just like
22.
crying buckets. And there was a mom there with her 2 teenage boys. And she's like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Well, my daughter's outgrown Dr. Yancey, and we
Oh,
have to
no.
take her to, you know, an adult doctor." And she started crying too, because she's like, "Yeah, my boy is 17, and this is
Oh,
the
she's right
last
there.
year we can see, and I'm going to be just like you." And, you know, we both just started
yeah.
crying, and it was like bonding moment between 2 strangers. But, you know, we got blessed though that the doctor that we have now, he's also a parent of a special needs child.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, I would say
knows.
it's fantastic, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's,
Well,
I mean,
and he'll ask us things about things, because I think he's like their child is what, 10 years younger or something like that.
she's I think she
Yeah,
just
so-
turned 11 or 12.
So
Yeah.
everything that's coming up with their child, we have already been through.
right.
So we were able to say, well, this is what you can expect with this, that you can expect with this, with them growing older.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I know we've gone in for injuries, because when you're transferring a physically handicapped child, you're going to screw it up at least once or twice and severely hurt yourself, because your goal is to get them to safety and not preserve your body. And you're going to twist yourself into all sorts of weird positions to get that accomplished. And I went in, I had like pulled hamstring, pulled muscles in my back. I mean, I was a mess, and I had to see his wife, who's also a physician. Because if they can't get you in, then you know, and they also have a nurse practitioner, but I got to see her, and she's like, "Well, how'd you do this?" And when I told her, she's like, "Am I looking at my future?" And I'm like, "Yeah, right now your kid is little, and you can just pick her up and throw her, and, you know,
Yeah, wherever. So
but she's going to become a full grown adult. And eventually this will happen to you. You're going to do a transfer, and midway through, something's going to go wrong. You're going to lose your balance, or the weight's going to shift weird or something. And you're going to screw up every muscle in your body to get her to safety.
Yeah.
Because that's more important. And she's kind of stood there with tears in her eyes, and she's like, I need to know this, and I'm like, you know, that's why now we call in and was like, "Yeah, pull the muscle, transfer in Maddie." And they're like, "Okay, so we'll send in a prescription." It's like,
yeah.
so I mean, we've been blessed with all of that. I mean, so lucky with all of that. But we hear from other parents like just absolute horror stories. And that's when we turn to each other and we're like, we're so lucky. We're so lucky.
Oh, that's another thing too,
But-
is that we always run into parents that do have a lot worse situation than we do. And so it kind of puts where we feel about things that we have to deal with on a humbling level.
Right.
It's like, well,
Perspective.
Exactly. It definitely
exactly.
gives you perspective. Like I'm having to wear this brace now because I can't afford surgery. And if I ever get bummed about it, I'm like, well, my daughter's in a wheelchair. I should just, shut the hell up. So,
That's why I talked myself
You're right.
into all 5 tattoos. Maddie's had 22 surgeries. I can sit through a tattoo.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
right. That's one thing as a society I think we're lacking. We've always lacked it, but I mean, I think it's highlighted now.
Mm-hmm.
That is virtually no empathy, and there's no perspective.
Oh,
Exactly.
No perspective.
Exactly. And
I mean,
I love all of the pro-lifers. They're not pro-lifers, they're pro-birthers, but whole nother
I was going to
tangent.
say that's a whole.
That's a whole nother tangent. But
they don't even know what they're pro.
Yeah,
And my favorite are the people who are suburban kids who have. They're not. They're less likely to encounter things like a break-in, rape. They're less likely to. Their experience, I'll be very polite. Their experience is different
Mhm.
than a lot of the people who have to make this decision.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, exactly.
And they're out
Yeah.
there because it's an abomination to them. I will tell you, nobody likes it.
No, we're not.
Nobody likes it.
Exactly.
It's not, birth control. But at the same time,
Yeah.
it's not up to you.
Yeah. Because I know the same people that after we found out that Maddie was going to be born with spina bifida, there were people that were actually like, well, are you going to have an abortion? I'm like, no, I've made that choice. No, I'm not. I'm not going to look bad at somebody else who's like, yeah, I know I can't handle this, but I knew I could. But those very same people are now, protect the unborn and all. I'm like, but
Yeah.
22 years ago, you were asking me if I was
Oh,
gonna, but now you're all, and that's why it's like, I am pro-choice. I didn't do it. But if there was somebody, if there's an 18-year-old kid that just found out that their kid's going to have all of these, birth defects and whatever, I'm not going to look at her slant-eyed for,
Oh yeah.
for making the decision to
No.
have an abortion.
Yeah.
That's her decision.
Well,
she's got an entirely different life
Yeah.
story than I do.
And it doesn't even matter how old.
And it doesn't affect me.
Oh yeah.
In the end, it
reality
doesn't
is
affect me.
There is
Well-
no plan in place, right, for all these people that we're supposed to be saving.
Mhm.
They say, oh, it's future presidents. Well, maybe. I mean, is that the value of a human being? But what are you prepared to do when they're here?
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's
I
like-
don't know how we've gone far down the rabbit hole. I'm sorry.
I know. And it's like,
Well-
we can't solve the world's problems right here in a
So-
podcast, but it's just,
No, but
it's,
I'll even bring it around. I was honored by Paul, honestly, to Paul Lanner and Hunters Against Hate. I mean, it was my absolute pleasure. And like I said, when I picked it up, I hope I earn it.
yeah. And I
Well,
just,
I would say you do.
yeah.
Yes. Don't even, worry about that. It's like just plug on and
Yeah.
stand up when you can. And there you go.
Yeah. And I mean, Hunters Against
Yeah.
Hate to me is an incredible organization. Because it's like there's only been 2 events so far, but both of them, like I've told him, you walk into the room and you just feel love and acceptance. And, everybody there is just incredible. And I'm like, this is how I wish the world could be. I meet complete strangers and it's like, oh no, now you're my best friend. And, I'm going to look out for you. And, as long as we're, here, we're gonna, work together, and and I'm like, why can't the world be like that? And it's like, that organization, it's so very close to my heart. And I'm just like, he's constantly sharing stories about how kids have looked at the haunters books that he puts out.
Yeah.
And, read the story of this haunter or that haunter, and they see themselves in that person.
Well, that's exactly what we do
yeah.
as actors. I mean, that's our total thing. Like, since we started doing these conventions, we get those stories too.
Yeah.
People say, we're alive because, or I'm alive because of you. You showed me that if you found the right group of people, they could see you through anything,
Yes.
and just, you don't think about that when you're doing it. And in that same vein, I don't think Paul is really thinking about that when he's doing it. I mean, he's providing much needed attention and care and funds and support.
Mhm.
But it's it's unfortunate that we need it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that's
Yeah.
the thing. But I mean, for example, the other kid, the kid who got that award at that night.
Yeah.
I forget his name, but I was so moved. I mean, I was crying my eyes out. I mean,
Yeah.
I was like, and that's the thing. We don't need, it doesn't always have to be something unattainable or like super profound. All it takes is a little spark, a little acknowledgement,
Mhm.
a little boost, or a little understanding, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Because I know.
all I need. But I
Yeah.
know Paul with his organization can like spread it on a mass scale. I mean, if there's
Exactly.
$50,000 going to things, that's just the beginning. I mean,
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, it is. I mean, I think that's what draws people though to conventions or art or anything, is identifying with, because I know the book It is one of those that I can open up at any page. I've read it so many times. I can just open up and it's like, read the first few paragraphs. It's like, oh, okay, here we are. This is what's happened before. This is what's happened after.
Yeah.
But your character was the one I identified with the most, because I was the chubby kid that was, made fun of and called names and all of that. And, to see Ben find his core people, to see,
Yeah.
him just, and that's what gets me, is in the book, they're all just like, okay, you're my friend now. It was
Yeah.
like something in them is like, I'm going to have this person in my life. There was just,
Well, I mean, we
and-
forget it's easy too. When you're a kid, that's more common than you think. There are kids that become friends and they don't know why. They just
Yeah.
happen to be standing in line together. And it doesn't have to be particularly profound.
No.
But when you identify a character that you really agree with, or that really speaks to you, it's magical. I think it was
Oh,
magical
yes.
for me to play that part because I didn't have a dad. I moved around a lot. I was bullied for being a fat kid. I mean, almost all the facets except for the clown, and my dead dad trying to untie my shoelaces at a lake.
Yeah.
I was that guy, so it was easy for me to be that guy.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I think in some ways, looking back, that experience with those other kids helped me overcome a lot of my anxieties too. So I mean, I have a success story,
Yeah.
just from being involved in it. So I don't know.
And I mean, I know there are people, and you even said it, that Ben, that you were the one that didn't look exactly like John Ritter. And I'm
Right.
like, well, no, because Ben is the one that makes the biggest physical transformation as he grows up.
True.
So, I never thought that. I was like, yes, because Ben, in the book, he talks about, losing the weight, and then, stretching the rest of it out as he grew. And I'm like, he made the rest of them just grew up. But Ben physically transformed himself. So of course, young Ben and older Ben are not going to be
Well,
identical. And it just, and it never bothered me. But some people are like, yeah, you brought it up.
That never really, only because the your portrayal of the character in John Ritter's meshed so well that you didn't even realize that, or even would even pay attention to that.
Yeah,
well, we have that willing suspension of disbelief.
Exactly, definitely.
Yeah.
As long as you don't break it, hopefully it goes unnoticed. If it is really noticed, you have other problems.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Thankfully.
Yeah. But I can truly say that Tim Curry's portrayal of Pennywise is why for the longest time I couldn't watch Tim Curry and other stuff, because every time I heard his voice, even if it, and it was his natural speaking with the British accent voice, but still I'd hear that little tinge of Pennywise and I'm like, nope, can't do it. Nope, I can't do it. But, he was only on screen for what, 15, 20 minutes.
Maybe max.
And,
but that's all. I mean, it could have been less because that the establishment of that character provided this sort of this cloud, that loomed over the entire piece. And it wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for that, honestly.
Yeah. And I mean, he is just so, into the horror. I mean, like
lexicon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, lexicon. That's the word I was thinking of. Well, I mean, it's like
I love words.
Yeah, you say Pennywise, and people are like, yes.
Exactly.
And the true fans, when you say Pennywise, are like Tim Curry. Not to I mean, Skarsgård did a good job.
Oh, he did an excellent job.
But I see them as two completely different.
Well, the thing with Tim Curry being Pennywise is that if you look past that, almost every other evil clown is some sort of version of Pennywise to a certain degree. It's kind of like looking at The Godfather, and then you see every other gangster movie after that, and it's all this. It's all kind of, if it's not a straight derivative or ripoff, it's definitely a big influence.
Mm-hmm.
And he's basically the person to do that.
Yeah, but also, I think if we hadn't had the original Losers Club, we wouldn't have Stranger Things now. I mean, to me,
the Hellfire Club and the Losers Club are very similar in that respect. Of the quote nerdy kids or whatever coming together and to battle. It really is. It's kind of an outsider's archetype.
Well, I mean, the Duffer Brothers have never been shy about saying, they are very influenced by Stephen King.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun to see those little Easter eggs. But rewatching, we've been rewatching the original and I turned to him and I'm like, if we hadn't had these kids, we wouldn't have, they laid that foundation for the creation of Stranger Things. It's like here's your inspiration, and then let's take it to this other level with one of the kids having these incredible powers and all of that, but at the core they're all a bunch of losers.
There are a lot of similarities, and there's some story. I don't know if there's any truth to it or not, but I've heard that the Duffer Brothers were actually trying to pitch Warner Brothers to do the movie, to do it.
So that makes a lot of sense.
So that's
it's the story they wanted to tell, and in many ways they're telling that story. But it's a different evolution.
And they've got their own little.
They got their own, and they've made incredible success, which shows you that story in particular, no matter how you tell it, is pretty amazing. I have a quick question. Can we pause just for a moment? Sure. I got to fire up a barbecue, and I'll be right back.
Sure. Well, Spooky was making his annual or his usual appearance here. Hi,
Spooky.
I don't know what it is about cats and Zoom meetings, but every time we do one of these, if you look at any episode, he'll be walking across the back, or he'll be, doing like he just did, or
because it has your attention. It's just like cats in a newspaper. You remember those, right? Newspapers.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
They'll just come lie down on it.
Exactly. So let's see, we were talking about Stranger Things and the influence
Of Pennywise.
of
And
the Losers Club.
basically.
Yeah,
Losers
on
Club,
that.
Hellfire Club, yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I think just the idea of kids saving the world is a cool idea.
It is
And the
a
fact
lot of
that
pressure. It's a lot
yeah,
of pressure you put on them.
it is a lot of pressure, but it's kind of covered in it, where the adults don't see what's going on.
Right.
And I think a lot of that, and that kind of in Stranger Things as well, the adults don't really
They
pay
don't want to
attention
until it is like
Yeah.
on their face.
yeah
So, yeah.
until they're smacked in the face with it of hey, hello, this is coming to destroy your world. But yeah, I
think a lot of that's based on trauma too. I mean, subconsciously, to me anyway, it's about trauma. I mean, these kids are seeing and experiencing actual trauma.
Yeah.
And as we get older, we find ways to push that down,
yeah
and so even if we do see it, we don't see it.
yes yeah And I mean, I think it
That
also
was their process.
yeah. Well, and I mean, I know a lot, like a lot of people say, well, adults kind of lose the magic of the world. And, I think it kind of plays into that, because with it, I mean, yeah, the adults just, they don't see it. They're not seeing the magic of what's going on right in front of them, even though it's horrific, dark, horrible, bloody, gross magic. It's still,
There was a shot in the first film, the 2017 film, when my character, or Jeremy Ray Taylor's character, I should say.
Yes.
When Jeremy Ray Taylor's getting confronted by Henry Bowers, and they're doing the belly cut.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the cars drive by, and they see what's happening, but they continue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
To me, that was the biggest, like, societal indictment.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
In that movie, and it really struck a chord, because I'm not sure if that was something that we tried to even communicate in ours. I mean, certainly the adults not seeing, the blood exploding in their faces and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think there was one scene with Bev and and Henry and his gang, where, I mean, they've got her like up against, I think it was a store window by like the neck, and she actually looks over and there's somebody like sweeping the sidewalk, and they see and they just turn and walk in.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I forgot.
Not
about
that I've seen it a few times,
right.
but a couple of times, once or twice.
You remember I remember that now.
Yeah. So
same thing. Okay, so we did.
Yeah.
We did. And 30 years later, it's still a problem. It's still a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of those in power, or those that can do something to stop what's going on. They see it, but they're turning and walking into their, turning around, walking in, and it's
easier not to get involved.
Exactly. And it's just that is like just a huge, condemnation on just society as a whole. It's like, here are the kids, they're vulnerable, they need your help, but you're just going to pick up your broom and walk on in, and or you're just going to drive by in your car and not do anything.
It's in there for a reason.
Yeah,
it exists. It's a thing.
It is.
Oh yeah, it really ties in with not paying attention and not caring or not remembering.
Yeah.
As far as like if they drove by, it's like they're trying not to see it. They're willfully trying not to see it, not to be involved.
Yeah. Of course, we're the generation that had the thing on TV. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? They had to have an actual ad on TV to remind parents, oh yeah, you have kids. Where are they?
Right.
And I just remember, like sometimes talking with my mom about, oh, I remember this, that, or the other happening. And she's like, it did. And I'm like, you were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you forget.
You don't. Yeah. And she's like, I honestly don't remember that happening. And I'm like, yeah, you were there. I know you were there, so many things that I remember as clear as day. And she's just like, and this is before the Alzheimer's kicked in. So, I mean, it was not, I'm in my 20s and we're talking about stuff. And she's like, really, that happened? And I'm like, yeah, here's the scar that I have from that incident right here, and she's like, oh. And I start telling her more and more and more. And then she's like, oh, okay, now. And I'm like, it was a traumatic event for me. But she's like, really? It what?
It's
And
probably traumatic for her too. And
yeah. And so she just blocked it and suppressed it. And
Well, it's just amazing how much things we don't remember when you talk to an old friend or something like that. Is like so much that you have blocked. And I don't know if that's just being old age or blocking it out or a combination of the two, but it's just amazing what sticks in your mind and what doesn't stick in your mind, and what the cause is of that.
The best example I have for that is when we see each other at these conventions. Like the first time I saw Marlon,
mm-hmm.
it was 2018 and we were in Atlanta, and ran into him in the hotel lobby, and it was like we had just walked off the set the day before. We picked up right where we left off. And then, as we started getting more of us together, it's amazing how much stuff either they remind you of, or
Mm-hmm.
just being with them brings it out.
Yeah.
Things you didn't think about, you haven't thought about for 30 years. It's there.
Yes.
Believe me, it's there. It just takes the right situation and the right people to bring it out.
The right key. Yeah.
Like this documentary, I was there, right? Like I was there.
Yeah.
And I learned so much just watching this thing.
Yeah. I know.
I really did.
Yeah.
I had no idea about half of the stuff that was in there. So, it's that kind of thing. There's a trigger or some kind of trigger that brings it all back, and that's it's magic.
Yeah.
The
Now,
positive things anyway.
Yeah. I'm probably going to horribly mispronounce his name. Adam Faisal. Farazel. See, thank goodness, has admitted that he kept one of the shower tiles from his scene. Is there anything you pocketed that along the way, or did you just leave it all in Vancouver? Or
no, I wasn't thinking about what cool klepto stuff I could have gotten away with, but I'm pretty in hindsight I should have.
Yeah.
Because anytime I did a show, or like if I did a stage production of something, I would always keep some kind of prop, some memento, to remind me of the experience. And
Sure.
But I think I did walk away with a pair of classic Chucks.
You got to have the classic Chucks.
Yeah. Different form factor, different nose, different it's different.
Yeah.
And I wish I'd managed to keep them.
I'm trying to think, because now you morphed into theater in college, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Did you, because I know we've both done some theater.
Yeah, we're both
and
oriented as well. So,
and I know after going through weeks and weeks and weeks of rehearsal, there comes that moment when they bring out the costume and you put on one piece of the costume and you're like, yes, I now it's clicking in me. Yeah. Have you had that experience where it's weeks and weeks of rehearsal and you think this character, and then they bring out the costume and you're like,
100%. It becomes real. Usually that it really becomes real for at tech, when you start doing the technical rehearsals, or you go into previews, that's when it really starts to get real. But really a really good director friend of mine, he said what made him successful with his actors was integrating as much as they could as early as they could, props, especially if you're working with props, like
Yes.
Sweeney Todd rehearsing without the actual blade is stupid. There's a lot of things like that,
Yeah.
and anything that's cumbersome, anything that changes the way you stand. If we were doing Scarlet Pimpernel or something like that, you get some you get the boots on early. You do the things that you have to do that are that kind of help your process along. And I've it's been my experience a few times where the directors have pushed to do that, and I think it makes a difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love it when you finally get to inhabit something that really feels real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Depends on when that happens.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen, something's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, because I've played this one character a few times, where she's a waitress in Texas, and for me, it's like I need the wig. Where's the wig? I've got to have because once I get that big Texas hair on, then I'm Inita, and the accent kicks in, and I'm ready to go. But once I have that huge wig on, then it's like, yeah, I've got it. I remember everything. I've created this backstory for her. It's like, I don't know if anybody else does that, but I sometimes will create a little backstory. It's like, okay, so she ended up in the trailer park from bad choices. And, it's like,
that's part of the deal. That's the only way you can sell it. It's the only way you can sell it. You can't be a my line bullshit, my line bullshit person, especially in theater. And it has to be new, it has to be organic, and it has to feel like it's organic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially when the audience is right there. It's like yeah. I'm sorry, am I saying that correctly?
Yes,
I think so.
yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm awake.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Yes, you're making perfect sense, my love.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think if there's anything else we haven't covered, because I could talk to you forever, which is the problem.
Likewise.
I mean, I think next convention we're gonna have to go out to dinner together just so we can talk, because I absolutely love talking with you when we were at Haunters Against Hate.
There's a great convention, and I mean, it's great to connect with people who spoke my language.
Yes.
And that's rare these days, and rarer as I get older. But
yeah. Oh, I hear you. Because it's the one room. Well, I mean, judging from the shirt I wore on Sunday that said "We are not free," it's like I knew I could wear this shirt to this convention, and people would be like, "Yes," and nobody would give me shit about it. Yeah. And I should be able to walk down the street wearing that shirt, and people be like, "Yes, you're right." Well, but I know in my little itty bitty town here, I can't, and
that Constitution that they love so much.
I know.
Tell you all about.
Yeah, exactly.
The Constitution that only has 2 articles in it. Amazing.
Yes.
But yeah, you have to watch out. But it is what it is.
Yeah, but I'm, again, that's why I love that organization, because, like I said, you walk into the room, and it's love, and it's acceptance, and it's fun, because you can be authentically yourself. And
I just wonder if Paul knows exactly what he's created.
Sometimes he does. He gets those little notes from people, people reach out to him and say, this is, like I said, he gets the kid that saw the haunter that he identifies with, and, he felt comfortable enough then to come out to his parents, and, his parents are like, okay, we accept you. But until that moment, he was afraid.
Yeah.
And so he gets those little stories. So he knows he's doing good in this world. But sometimes I don't think he realizes the scope of it.
Much?
Yes, the magnitude of it. So I'm hoping
just being a confidence builder.
Yeah.
If anything. Even if he couldn't come out to his parents, at least being who he is to everyone but them, because I understand that part of it. But just having the more confidence to try
be himself.
and to be himself more, and to experiment more as far as like things that he wants to experience and that kind of thing, I think is just wonderful.
Yeah.
But not being able to do that is debilitating.
It is
on almost every level. If you can't be who you are, you're gonna be. It's like you're being told to swim, but someone's holding you under the water.
Exactly. And I know probably at like other conventions, including one that we've worked together that was not Honors Against State, you find you have to censor yourself about conversations that you can have with people. And I know like you, Derek Mears, you guys are ones that I know I can talk about, all the stuff that we've talked about. Yeah. And that we're on the same plane. And that is so just refreshing.
Having
and
the community.
Yeah.
Just having the community in which you can do that is amazing.
Yeah. And you're not crazy about this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure I'm crazy about a lot of other stuff, but I'm not crazy about this. But I mean, I'm sure you've run into hearing conversations at other conventions where you're like, I am in the wrong world right now. I'm in the wrong place. Yeah. And, having to censor yourself is just.
Well, that's the struggle that you have if you're an advocate.
Exactly.
You can't let people get away with it if it's sometimes you have to say what you got to say.
Yeah.
But hopefully you have the wisdom to find the way to do it.
Exactly.
That isn't a threat. That is more or less just, hey, think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm a very confrontational person. And so there are times when I'm like, if I yell and scream at this person, they're not going to hear me at all. But I cannot think of a way to say what I'm thinking.
Right.
So I need to walk away from this situation because I know whatever I say, it's not going to change their mind. But yelling and screaming at them is going to make me feel better.
Oh, it'll make you feel better for a minute, but
and then it's going to cause a whole rash of trouble.
Defensive, and there's another way. There's got to be another way, and I don't always find it, and I find myself having to really think about it.
Yeah.
Is this dude gonna jump me in the parking lot?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Exactly. Because I mean, you'd probably have a dude jumping you in a parking lot, but like, as a woman, there are other things I have to worry about. Yeah. And,
for sure.
It's like, is this momentary battle worth the crap I'm going to get? I'm not going to change their mind. I'm just going to cause a whole lot more trouble for everybody around me. And 9 times out of 10, if somebody says something, I'm just like, we don't appreciate that language here at the convention. And that's what, I just try, and if they keep going, I'm just like,
well, one of the things
you've been told.
One of the things that I've learned being a flight attendant is how to assess their comprehension level and explain things in a way that they will be able to understand without talking over them or talking under them. Just kind of get where they are and try to use the words that would be communicating what I'm trying to say to them without them feeling uncomfortable. And I think that could be a tactic which I have used with different people talking about gay rights and whatnot, on the level that they can understand, trying to put it on a human level for you, that person who doesn't feel that way, and me to try to get to that bridge. But sometimes you find the bridge, sometimes you don't.
And other times I get a text from him that says, oh, by the way, now you're a black man named Steve because the pilot is racist and homophobic. And so now he's
oh yeah, I'll queen it up too.
Yeah.
So I'll just make it,
he'll be like, okay, well, if we're gonna play that.
Yeah. I mean, it comes from a punk rock ethic that I have. It's like, if they won't listen, piss them off. It's more fun.
Well, yeah. I mean, you
so
that know your audience. Know your audience. I just, without demeaning people who think differently than I do, it to me, it's not so much stupidity. I would never say someone's an idiot.
Oh no, I don't think that at all either.
But I do think there is an EQ thing. I think there's or even an emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that like you're an imbecile or that kind of way, but there is a way that you process your emotions, and a lot of the rhetoric is just pure emotion because it's different. And some people are better geared to fixing that than others, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not a clinician. I'm not.
I totally
But that's just
understand.
what I think. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But that also helps me approach how I talk to people about certain things. Right?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never in a mean way.
We
Well,
should
yeah, I was gonna say we
probably-
should wrap that. We've been talking
Yeah,
forever.
yeah,
Like I
we
said,
we can keep
next
going, that's the
convention we're
thing.
doing dinner so we can talk because
Sounds great.
I could talk to you forever. But
Sign me up.
Yeah, this is your moment to plug whatever.
Oh, yeah, so let us know what you're doing now.
Yeah, because you're on Instagram.
Yeah. Brandon Crane TV on Instagram, Brandon Crane on Twitter. I don't really hang out much there, but Instagram's great. You got to check out the doc. It's been 5 years in the making. It's on Screenbox right now, but you can still get it through Amazon. It's trending on iTunes. And I know they're working on a DVD release very soon. It started as an Indiegogo campaign 5 years ago, and they were quick to shoot it. If you had any questions about Stephen King's It, or how it was made, or how the team came together, they've packed so much into this 2 hours.
Yes.
Yes.
It's got rewatchability, and if you get it on iTunes, there's some bonus features.
Okay.
Be at a convention getting this tattoo. It's so thoughtful and so well done. It's worth the wait. They wanted it to be right, because I think the fans deserve the best.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
And
they did a wonderful job.
Yeah. And it gives you a lot of behind the scenes stuff, a lot, you talking about the scene with Henry with the knife where they were getting ready to carve up your stomach. I can imagine that was a terrifying scene. But yeah, at the same time, I'm like, couldn't we show them like at least doing the downstroke of the H? But
ABC TV.
Yeah.
We almost didn't shoot that much.
Yeah. So
well, it's still pushing it to the limit, no pun intended, for 1990, because you have to remember we're coming out of the 80s, and it was, very restrictive in that sense, as far as like horror and that kind of thing, because that could easily been rated PG-13 or possibly R if it was in the theaters. That was really pushing limits for that time. It really was.
And watch the documentary. Like you said, it's on Screenbox. We accessed it through Amazon Prime. You can also get a 7-day free trial of Screenbox to try it out. We noticed to see if there's some other stuff on there, just promoting Screenbox a little.
Well, there is too. I mean, John Piano's other documentary that he did about Pet Cemetery is on there.
Sweet.
And that was good. I watched that before we did this to give me a sense of his style and his ability. And I was in great hands. He was amazing.
Yeah.
Really, really, really good.
It is. And I'm so glad that they got Tim Curry to interview,
really made the difference.
Just kind of touched my heartstrings a little.
No stone unturned, honestly. You have a bonus feature about the extras, that were in there too. I mean, everyone who was still alive that had anything to do with this thing is in there.
Yeah, because
and that was wonderful.
Yeah, we
don't find that in some documentaries where some people just refuse to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So,
but you talk about the extras. We just ended with the scene with Richie Tozer, adult Richie, in the library with all the balloons, and I'm like, props to those extras.
Rock stars.
I mean, they could not react to blood splurting in their face or Tim Curry running around with
Tim Curry going nuts.
Yeah, and it's just like,
stars.
Yeah. And like I said, from an actor's perspective, you're watching that, and it's like not one of them flinched. Usually you can find the one that's like, you can see they know it's coming in there, but not a single one of them flinched. Not a single one of them side-eyed Tim Curry. I mean, it was just like,
or breaking up laughing.
Yeah, it's like, I'm a patron in the library. That's my job, and I'm like, damn.
We didn't have the time or the budget to shoot it more than once.
Yes. Yeah.
So props to them. You're right. They're
Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Just proof that sometimes a movie can be made or destroyed by extras.
Lightning in a
So,
bottle,
yeah.
all the way
yes.
around.
Yeah, this whole thing. So yeah, check out the documentary on Screenbox. You've got a website, brandoncrane.com, right?
Yeah, there's some stuff on there, but it's not. It's all biographical. I'm not really pursuing acting right now.
Yeah.
There are a couple things on the horizon, as there always are, right? Whether they come to fruition or not, we'll see.
Well, fingers crossed for that.
But we're talking, so I'm interested, and we'll see what we do.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
So awesome. Well, again, this has been Brandon Crane from the OG It. And
Yes.
if your eyes were open, a brief scene in It Chapter 2.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes, which I was glad we were at a matinee, because when that popped up, I was like, Brandon. And it's like, oh, good thing it's a matinee and there's not that many people in here, because I didn't know. I had purposely not read anything.
Yeah.
And then you pop up bigger than life, and I'm like, Brandon.
We kept it secret as best
cool,
we could.
very cool.
We sure
Yes. And it was awesome.
I went and saw it. I saw Matinee like the week after it opened, and it was really awesome and humbling to see people go, or
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
there were people that didn't get it. I mean, I look much different now, but it was cool. It was really cool.
Or then there's the people that are like, yeah, I went to see it, and there was this lady up on the second tier going, Brandon. So,
hey,
you'll always have a fan in me, bud. Always
It'll
have
make
a fan
them-
in me.
and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think if anything, it'll make them revisit that moment when they buy it on video to see what the hell she was talking about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's true, too.
yeah. They're going to be like, oh, this is when that lady yelled at Brandon, and it's like, yeah, look him up. It's
Because it's Brandon.
yeah, it's Brandon.
Yeah, no,
Just
that was
one
that
word,
was,
like yeah.
that was so much damn fun. And 40 plus years in the business, and that was my first red carpet. I mean, of all things, it's just
Oh
it's great.
wow. Yeah.
No bucket list things. I'd never done a
Yeah.
feature, or I've been involved in a feature, and I never gone to a Hollywood screening of a movie, and it was beautiful to get to go back there just for a little while.
Yeah.
Very
part of
cool.
it.
And it, for those of us that it was a little reminiscing moment, a little moment to just be like,
For me
there he
too.
is. Yeah, there he
For me
is.
too.
It's the OG Ben in the new Ben's office.
It was definitely a powerful moment for
Yeah.
me. It was not lost on me at all.
It-
They didn't
it-
have to. Never forget it.
Yeah, it was
was sweet.
amazing. Well,
Okay, well, this has been
oh yeah, this has been Brandon Crane
Brandon
again. Check him out, Instagram. Check out the documentary. That is amazing, and hopefully we'll get to
see more Brandon.
see you
See
in
see
something,
what
whether
you're
it's
doing
small
next.
screen or large. That would be amazing.
We'll see if we get to do it, and if we get to do it, we'll let you know.
Great.
Sounds
And next time we're doing dinner, man.
Sounds great.
All right, great.
It's a date.
Okay, that was the amazing Brandon Crane, friend of the show. I love that guy. Again, check out the documentary on Screenbox, or again, you can access it through Amazon Prime.
Yes.
But it is amazing. It's got all sorts of behind the scenes stuff. They've got a lot of the actors that played both adults and kids.
Mhm.
The directors, guys that did the special effects. I mean, you name it. And especially, I mean, come on, they got Tim Curry.
Oh yeah, Tim
So,
Curry making an
yeah.
appearance and talking
Yeah,
about it.
that
It's just-
that
it's
hit you in the
amazing.
heart. So
If you're a fan of Stephen King or It or whatever, you gotta see it.
you got to see it.
Gotta see it.
So yeah, and we will be back with more interviews. I know we keep saying we're going to do a movie review, and I swear to you, we're going to be doing it soon. It's just, time, life, all
Life,
of that,
yeah.
but we will get it done. But until then, we'll see you later.